Okay, part two. Just want to talk to 1 second. By the way, I got one question. I hear there's going to be a class action lawsuit against Ford for the 15-passenger van. What's going on there?
Well, yes.
You involved in it?
No.
No?
What it is, you know what I would like to see Ford do? For every child that was killed in a vehicle, of a 15-passenger vehicle, and every child that's been disabled, and families that had to go through trying to understand that they know about these vehicles that are not safe, and the families that do have them and they don't know what to do with them, and youth groups that don't know what to do with them, I would say to Ford Hathaway to take their piece of junk, 15-passenger vans, death traps, and buy them back from schools and youth organizations and donate money to them, to all the schools that they buy those vehicles back from, their piece of junk death traps, and donate money to those schools so they can buy the affordable vehicle that can keep the children safe for after-school activities. That's what Ford should do. That's their obligation. That's their responsibility. And knowing that Ford knows it, that those vehicles don't have no crashworthiness, and put our children in those vehicles, they are responsible for that. And now they should do what's right and take back those 15-passenger vans, use them as cargo vans, and donate money to the schools that do have those 15-passenger vans.
How long have these 15-passenger vans been around?
They've been around for 40 years, if not more.
How many people died, do you know?
In the States, over thousands of children.
Really?
And in Canada, well, because the Canadians didn't have, the 15-passenger vans are in a category as a light truck, so they never did a research just specifically on the 15-passenger van, so there's no number, but I can tell you it's hundreds and hundreds, I'm sure, and because there's single accidents were 1 or 2, but it wasn't out in the news like our boys were, because our boys were young, innocent children that were in a vehicle that every parent thought was safe for them. But now that I educated myself on these vehicles, did the research on these vehicles, I know now that those vehicles should have never been used for children in schools across Canada. It should have never been used. They were made for cargo, and they should only be used for cargo.
What would have happened if they would have had, I know, this is hindsight, but the new vehicle,
multifunctional activity vehicles, the ones that are
made
like
the same accident, the same thing that when he hit the curb and turned.
They're made exactly like a bus. They have the crashworthiness, the laminated windows, and I believe that if our boys that night were in that vehicle with a pro driver, probably they wouldn't have been on the road. But I believe that with the intrusion, I'm sure the outcome wouldn't have been the same, and I probably wouldn't be here today. I'll be home with my family.
But don't forget, it happened. It's we got to move on. But what you're doing, but what you're doing, it could help future families that don't even know that you will save.
Well, I believe that the government didn't make it an awareness to the owners of those vehicles, what type of vehicles they were driving. There was recommendations about, okay, check your tire pressure, don't overload it, don't put a roof rack on it, don't put a trailer on the back, don't, make sure you have experienced drivers, they don't drive so many hours, but nothing about the make of the vehicle, the crashworthiness, that they knew that if that vehicle rolled over, the windows would splatter, the passengers would be ejected out of their seats, and all seatbelts in those vehicles are not securely snapped. It wasn't made as a proper vehicle. Like even a 7-passenger van is safer than those 15-passenger vans when it comes to a collision.
Listen, like I said, what you're doing, it might save a lot of people in the future. Lives.
What I'm doing is for my son Daniel, for all the innocent children that are out there that don't realize how unsafe those vehicles are, and for the parents. I want to educate them on this. I want to educate them on the 15-passenger vans and let them know that these vehicles are not safe, and there is an alternative vehicle out there for them. And I can't prevent accidents. I know accidents always happen, but when they're in the safest vehicle with the proper drivers, you know that you did your best to have our children safe in the school system. The school system doesn't recognize children that are in after-school activities. They have the Education Act. The Education Act is for the children that go to school from 8 to 4. But children that are after school and on weekends need to be recognized in the Education Act and put in there too to keep them safe too.
And you will save a lot of lives in the future that you don't even know of when they eliminate these 15-passenger vans. You're doing fine work.
Well, it's not work, Frank, Charles. It's not work. It's something in my heart. It's in my heart to know that if I don't do anything, and if anything ever happens to a child in a 15-passenger van, I don't think I'll be able to live with myself, because I didn't do everything I can, knowing what I know today.
And your crusade will continue until your job's done.
It will be done, and I will not stop until it is.